If you guys want a certain plan displayed, I can figure it out.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know how we can ourselves do both here, be in this and switch out and look at, call up those PDFs from your email.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are live.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Karen, sorry, Karen.
No, what's that? Sorry, no. You're so sorry. Hi.
Hey, Karen.
How are you guys?
Good.
Good. So we are live on YouTube right now on our channel, but I just want to let everybody know that it might be a good idea to mute their microphones going in. I'm going to start broadcasting, which will allow the attendees to participate here in about 2 minutes. So it'll help if we can block any feedback coming in. All right, and we are broadcasting, and I see that we have attendees already in, so we're good to go.
Karen, is your audio working okay?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I guess it is now. My headset was on the brink.
Gotcha.
What time is it right now?
Yep, it's 5:30.
Okay, I guess we can start. All right. Can we get a motion to open public hearing? PC 201086 400
We have
Roselle.
to do a call to order first.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Wasn't in your public hearing procedures.
You got ahead of yourself just a little bit.
I know. Sorry about that. Okay.
That's okay. If you just want to call the meeting to order,
Yes,
Karen,
let's call the meeting to order.
do a roll call.
I'll make a
Tom,
motion. Oh, go ahead.
Tom Stringfellow,
Here.
Beth Kellerstein,
Here.
Terry Wallach,
Here.
Brian Booth, Josh Bickford,
Here.
Jason Wirtz. Okay. We have a quorum. Oh, and Chairman Patel, sorry.
Yes, I'm here as well. Okay, now can I get a vote to open up the public hearing for PC 201086 400 Roselle LLC?
Approval of the agenda first.
I motion that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Terry and Beth.
Yes.
Okay. Terry Wallach,
Yes.
Beth Kellerstein,
Yes.
Tom Stringfellow,
Yes.
Josh Bickford,
Yes.
Chairman Patel.
Yes.
And then now the minutes.
Okay. Can I get a vote to approve the minutes for this evening's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I
Second.
motion we approve the, whoops, okay. all right.
Who wants a second?
I'll second.
Terry? Okay.
Yep.
Beth Kellerstein,
Aye.
Terry Wallach,
Aye.
Josh Bickford,
Aye.
Tom Stringfellow,
Aye.
Chairman Patel.
Aye. Okay.
Now you can go for it, Karen.
Okay, there you go. All right, I need a vote to open up the public hearing for PC 201086, 400 Roselle LLC.
Make that motion.
So moved. Oh, I'm sorry. I second.
Can we get a
All
roll
right.
call?
Beth Kellerstein,
Yes.
Terry Wallach,
Yes.
Tom Stringfellow,
Yes.
Josh Bickford,
Yes.
Chairman Patel.
Yes. Okay, the proper notice has been served in the Daily Herald, 10/26/2020.
Yep.
Okay, staff presentation, please, Karen.
So on the screen is just a way for people at home to view the plans. So the case before you tonight is PZ 20-1086. This project is called Metro 19 and includes 400 East Irving Park Road, which is the BMO Harris site, and 439 Lawrence Avenue, which is the former Ray Graham location. And then it also includes the Metro parking lot in between the two sites. The petitioner is Abjaris and Associates, doing business as 400 Roselle LLC. I just want to go over a few things first. The BMO Harris and its drive-through are going to remain exactly as they are today. And then also to note, the Ray Graham apartments have been vacant for over a year, and the tenants were moved out prior to Ray Graham selling the property to 400 Roselle LLC. So the developer, which is 400 Roselle LLC, has petitioned the village for several items in order to construct a 5-story, 293-unit apartment complex and a 540-stall parking garage. This is the largest development in the town center, and the number of units in this project is more than the combined number of units created in the original town center TIF. So that includes Main Street Station, Park Street Crossing, the 2 Village Crossing phases, and Thorngate over on Haddendorf. The first request from the developer tonight is a zoning map amendment to rezone the property from B2 to B3. B2 is the village's convenient shopping center district. So this zoning made sense when for the existing use of the properties. But now that a apartment project is proposed, B2 no longer makes sense. So they're requesting to rezone the property to B3, which is our town center zoning district. Rezoning the property is going to create better cohesion between the train station area and Old Main Street in the municipal complex, which is what was sort of put forth in the comprehensive plan from 2016. The second request is a special use permit for dwelling units in the town center. The comprehensive plan calls for creating density near the metro station to allow for that connection between Main Street and the train station area. The comprehensive plan also calls for these properties to be mixed use, as shown as in the future land use map that is an attachment to my staff report. So this project is not mixed use. A small commercial component was initially discussed with the developer prior to an application being submitted, but was ultimately decided not to be necessary in order to move forward, as there are plenty of commercial spaces nearby. And access onto Urban Park Road probably wouldn't be granted for the site. So it has a limited sort of viability on a commercial corridor. So sort of the overall project is a 293 unit apartment complex. The mixture of units is going to be 82 bedrooms, which is 27% of the total units, 157 one bedrooms, which is 54%, and then 56 studio or conversion units, which is 19%. The units are designed to attract sort of empty nesters or commuters, people who don't necessarily need a lot of space. Each unit is going to have their own HVAC system, water heater, washer, dryer, and then access to outdoor space. So either a patio on the first floor or balcony or a Juliet balcony on the other floors. And then the complex will have luxury amenities. So there's going to be a pool, there's going to be a workout area, office space for the tenants, a kitchen and a lounge. And the exterior of the building is going to be predominantly brick with some dark gray, kind of black hardy board siding with dark gray metal elements too. And those renderings and elevations were included in the packet as well and are available on the website. So part of this project is a 540 stall parking structure, which is going to be owned by the village. 153 stalls within the structure have to be permanently dedicated to Metra as part of a land exchange agreement. I go into a little bit more detail of it in the staff report, but essentially we have to permanently dedicate spaces to Metra as part of our land exchange agreement with them. The remainder of the spaces in the parking structure will be leased to tenants of the building. The parking structure will be precast and it has sort of a beige finish. And there's certain areas will be sort of sanded down and it creates a different sort of color to the precast. So it creates sort of that visual interest on the structure. I took some pictures of the materials, which I would normally bring to the in-person public hearing, but because it's virtual, the pictures are included in the packet. And then the apartment complex can be accessed by residents from each floor of the garage. And then part of this as well, the village will install an APGS system, which is a parking guidance system. So it's essentially, if you've been to any sort of larger parking structure, it has the sign in the front of the garage that tells you how many spaces are remaining, and there's sensors above certain spots. So all of the Metra spaces will have sensors to show commuters how many spaces are open and which spaces are open, so they're not winding through the garage trying to find a space. If they can see that there aren't any spaces available, they can just go through the garage to the Metra lot. And then for the overall site plan, so the parking garage is going to be built over where Rose Drive West is currently. And Rose Drive West is currently only one way. So the parking garage design will allow full access bi-directional access point from Lawrence to the Metra parking lot through the garage. And then Rose Drive East will also be turned into a full access bi-directional street with a dedicated left turn lane. And it will also include a multi-use path for bikes and pedestrians for them to access the train station. Due to the natural elevation change of the site, when you're moving through the garage up the ramp from level 1, from Lawrence Avenue up to level 2, you'll actually just exit out into the Metra parking lot. So they've kind of used the natural features of the site to aid in the design of the parking garage. Yeah, Beth.
Hi, you know what, it's really hard to kind of follow everything you're saying. If I wish there was a way that we could be looking at the site plan while you're explaining all of this. Is that possible?
I can see if
Aaron, I can pull up a site plan if you want me to share my screen.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
mean, there's a lot of
Um,
information here, and I know you've been sitting with this for a while. This is, for me, it would make it easier. I don't know about anybody else, but
Is there a way for you to pull it up on your own screen, or?
that's what I was asking earlier, if you think I can do that.
I have it pulled up on another screen, Beth. I mean, I think.
All the documents are, all the links for those are in the agenda that she
Yeah.
sent.
Right, and I mean, I printed out some of them, but not all of them.
If you go live to it, well, while I can find the documents, I couldn't find the link to get on Zoom, but.
And I'm just trying to figure out how I can make my screen smaller so I can access those files. So right now, like, the screen is occupying my whole monitor.
You should be able to minimize it because you don't have to have Zoom open in order to still be on Zoom.
Okay, so.
Should be able to go up to view options at the
There'll
top.
be a view options at the top of your screen.
Yeah, I just saw
You
that.
can, yeah, if it's set to fit to window,
Tim has layouts on a PowerPoint that he could put up if he could share his screen.
Okay, I've got the site plan up.
Okay.
I'm used to using Teams and not Zoom. Okay,
So Rose Drive East is going to be a two-way traffic now with a dedicated left turn lane. And then through the parking garage will also be two-way traffic. So you can actually exit the Metro lot using the parking garage, or you can use Rose Drive East. So it's actually increasing the accessibility of the Metro lot because right now it's only one way in and one way out.
so when they access this, are they having to make a turn then rather than going straight through? Is that how I
No,
read-
so you just go straight up through the garage. So you enter at Lawrence, and then as you travel up the ramp, it'll actually let out at the Metro lot due to the elevation and the grading of the site.
Okay. But they're still going through the garage, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Karen, did they accommodate Metro's comments in terms of visibility when you egress from Lawrence
Yes.
into the Metro?
So then, as I mentioned in my staff report, sort of keeping touch with Metra and keeping them involved as much as possible through the final design and then construction of the parking garage is something that we're definitely going to want to do as part of our agreement with Metra.
You said that the village owns this parking garage?
It will own the parking garage.
It will. And so the village will be maintaining this garage?
Correct.
And you guys are renting out the space, as you said, to the tenants?
Correct.
Okay.
The leases will be more, it will be more of a one lease to the apartment development, and then we will lease back to the residents. You won't have to be managing a lease agreement for each resident leasing a parking stall.
Okay, and what is the maintenance, a yearly maintenance program? What does that consist of by the village?
Can I finish going through my staff
Oh, yeah.
report? I'm
Sorry.
sorry. That's okay. So they're also requesting a special use for buildings exceeding 45 feet in height. We have granted the special use permit for almost every project in the town center. They've all been either 4 or 5 stories. So that includes Thorngate, Village Crossing, Main Street Station. Promenade Point is only 2 stories, but with all the architectural features, it needed the special use, and then Park Street Crossing. So the developers requested 60 feet and 4-inch height in order to accommodate 5 full stories, and then architectural elements along the roof line. And then finally, we have the special use for a planned unit development. So a PUD, as you guys, the commissioners know, it's in order to provide flexibility to a developer from certain aspects of the zoning ordinance in order to provide a desirable product in the end. So the first variation is from parking. Right now, the zoning ordinance, which is very outdated from the 80s, requires 1.5 parking spaces for every 1 bedroom and studio, and 2 parking spaces for every 2 bedroom. So using the ratio and number of units the developer has proposed for this project, they would be required to provide 480 spaces. And there are 387 spaces in the garage for lease, and then an additional 33 surface spaces that would be for visitors and staff. So using the spaces available in the garage only, the ratio is 1.32, so 1.32 spaces for each unit. Or if you include the 33 spaces on the surface lot, it's 1.43. So in the staff report, which is available on the website, this would be kind of one of the lowest parking ratios in the village. However, none of the projects I put on in the staff report are as close to public transit as this project is. So the people who would be renting units in this building are predominantly going to be commuters using the Metro train station. And many of those projects actually have a greater amount of 2-bedroom units and include a substantial amount of 3-bedroom units. And this project is not proposing any 3-bedroom units, and is less than, I think, what is it, 1/3 or about of 2-bedroom units. So it's predominantly 1-bedroom and studios. The second variation as part of the PUD is for the rear yard setback for the apartment structure. So the zoning ordinance requires a 20-foot rear yard setback in the B3 zoning districts. And a majority of the structure meets this requirement except for the southwest corner of the building, where it's only 4.22 feet from the rear property line. And that property line is shared with the Metro parking lot. So I don't think that there's going to be a highly negative impact if this request was granted. And then we have FAR. So floor area ratio, or FAR, is a way to, just for people watching at home, a way to express the intensity of a use on a site. So you calculate it by dividing the total area of a building by the total area of the parcel or the lot. And the maximum FAR in the B3 district is 2.5. So if you just take the apartment portion of the project, you have an FAR of 2.4, which meets the maximum of 2.5. The garage has an FAR of 4.3. So when you combine the two together, as we're approving of this project holistically, the FAR is 2.88. As I'll talk, I think, in a little bit, the parking garage essentially takes up the entire lot that we're essentially drawing property lines around the parking garage as the village will be owning it. So the FAR therefore is greater and sort of bumps the total FAR up to 2.88. So if you just look at the apartment projects, it's 2.4. So that's something to consider. It's a lot of the parking garage is sort of increasing the FAR for this project. And then there are 3 lighting variations being considered as part of the PUD. So these variations are basically because staff has told the developer to use the town center lighting fixtures that are sort of around the municipal complex. They're down Main Street. We required this of Roselle Station, which is the 72 units on Irving Park Road from 2019. So because we're requiring them to use this specific light fixture, the light fixture itself requires light trespass greater than permitted by code. And staff thinks that using the same light fixture will create sort of that aesthetic connection between the town center, so Old Main Street, with this new area that we're trying to connect physically by the train station. And then I'm almost done, I promise. There are 2 variations for the parking garage. So like I mentioned, we essentially are drawing the lot of the parking garage around the parking garage itself. So there's going to be a front yard setback request and a rear yard setback request, both of 0 feet. The front setback required is 5 feet and the rear yard setback is 20 feet. So because we're drawing the lot for the parking structure around the structure itself in order to make the purchase of the structure and the land beneath it from the developer as cleanly as possible in the future, these variations are necessary. Any questions about that step for me from the commissioners?
With the variations
Yeah.
in particular? So you're saying because it's a village parking lot, so to speak, you feel that it's okay to butt up to the lot line and be granted the variations that you need on the east and south side?
North and south.
North and south?
Yep, so 0 setback on the east side with the property line shared with Sternberg is permitted by code.
Karen, did you say that we have similar buildings of this height in the village of Roselle as well?
Yes. I measured all the heights of the buildings in the town center in preparation for this. So it looks like Main Street Station is 66 feet. Park Street Crossing, which is over by the library, is 60 feet. Village Crossing, which is over on the north side of Irving Park Road, is 55 feet. And Promenade Point, which is at the corner of Roselle and Irving, is 54 feet. So of those, Main Street Station is taller than this this proposed project.
And this one's about 60 feet, right?
This one is about 60. Yep, about 60 and a half.
Okay. So no issues from Schaumburg Airport or anything like that, right?
No, it's far enough away from the airport where the airport wouldn't even need to review the plans. So the next section is the plat of subdivision. You will need to send this will be part of the recommendation you guys will send to the village board. It's 3 separate lots. So what they're going to do is sort of just reconfigure the existing lot lines. So BMO Harris Bank and its drive-through and parking lot will sort of remain on its own lot. The apartment complex and its surface parking lot will be on its own lot. And then the parking garage will be on its own lot. So there will be 3 lots as part of this re-subdivision. And then next we have sort of the stormwater aspect of it. So the project is going to meet the DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance by constructing 3 underground stormwater vaults on the site. So 2 for the apartment building will be built, 1 under the north surface parking lot, sort of along Lawrence, and then 1 under the western surface parking lot. And then a 3rd vault will be constructed underneath the parking garage, and that will basically vault the stormwater for the parking garage and a little bit for the apartment complex. There are probably a bunch of engineers on this call tonight. So we have Karen Young, the Public Works Director. We have Kristen Mell, the Assistant Public Works Director and Village Engineer, who can sort of speak to the village's review of these plans. And then the developer's engineer from SEMCOM is also on the call tonight. So if you guys have any additional questions about the stormwater aspect of the plan, those people will be able to answer those questions. The existing sanitary sewer will need to be upgraded as part of this project. So part of any recommendation you make tonight, staff is recommending sort of several conditions, basically saying that the preliminary and final engineering plans will be reviewed and approved by village staff before issuance of any building permits, approval of the final stormwater management report, and submittal and approval of the final engineering plans for the sanitary sewer, and then submittal and approval of the engineering plans for improving Rose Drive East because it needs to be widened and changed with the bidirectional. And then another important aspect is the traffic impact study. KLOA, which is a renowned sort of traffic engineering firm, they performed the traffic impact study for this project for the developer. And a representative from them are on the call tonight to help answer those questions. Essentially what the study says is that although longer queues may occur during peak time, so in the morning and in the late afternoon, the reorientation of the direction of traffic and gaps in the traffic on Lawrence Avenue, so the gaps in which people can make turning movements onto Lawrence, are adequate and should minimally impact the overall traffic movement in the area. IDOT reviewed the traffic study and the plans as it relates to the intersection of Lawrence and Irving, and they have no issues with the plans. And then using the traffic study, a stop sign and a traffic signal were both ruled out for the intersection of Rose Drive East and Lawrence Avenue. So, are there any questions for me before we sort of give it over to the developer to sort of do his presentation?
Well, as far as the leases on the parking garage, what percentage goes to the developer and what percentage goes to the village?
So the developer will rent the parking spaces from the village. So all revenue from the leases go to the village.
Okay. And I mean, is this a place where I should be asking about the maintenance of the garages and the water vault underneath the garage, you know, all that kind of stuff? I mean, or do you want me to ask those questions to the developer?
I think we should do it for the developer. What I can say is that the lease rates that we've come up with the developer, and then including the Metro parking spaces, those will be, we think, daily fee spaces. So the revenue from those spaces as well as the leases are enough to cover any preventative and routine maintenance on the parking garage. And we hired Walker Consultants, who basically a lot of their business is just designing and maintaining parking structures. And they provided us sort of an annual maintenance cost per parking space. So we feel very comfortable financially with where we're at and able to maintain and protect this village asset.
So for a year, what does the village expect to make on a lease if the parking garage is not totally leased compared to the amount of money spent for maintaining the garage?
So Walker's assumption is about $160 per parking space is going to be your annual maintenance. The developer has agreed to rent 293 spaces from us automatically for $80. And then each additional space will be $50 additional per month per space. And then the daily fee, I believe, is $1.25 or $1.50. And we average, I think, about 70% during normal non-COVID times. Our lot is about 70% used throughout the year. So when you total up those amounts, staff and our economic consultants all feel very comfortable with the position that this leaves the village in being able to maintain the parking garage.
So will the rates go up as the leases go up on the units? Will they simultaneously go up in the same percentage? And
So
then-
they have CPI increases every 5 years.
Okay. And then will Metro parking spots increase based on that every 5 years?
Typically, no. Metro doesn't like increasing the fees that municipalities can assess, just because commuters typically use this as part of their overall calculation of how much it costs to commute to and from the city every day. So Metro typically does not let municipalities raise the rates at all or very often.
So what would prevent me if I owned or, rented one of these units? What
Mhm.
would prevent me from just saying, you know what, I just want a Metro parking spot?
Yeah, so we're gonna have basically a pay by phone system where you're gonna have to enter your license plate, and we're gonna have a license plate reader system attached to police vehicles so they can monitor the parking spaces in the garage. And I believe we had also spoken with the developer about that tenants also submitting to the developer their vehicle information so we can be sure that tenants aren't parking in Metro spaces when they should not be.
So that's a lot of policing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you could lose money there, just taking over a Metro parking spot and saying that's I'm paying $100 or not $152 a day or whatever that price is compared to leasing a spot
For
a
$50.
spot. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think it adds up.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could just add to that too, as a developer, we'll have a management company, assisting in policing that garage, to limit any residents from trying to do that. So I just wanted to add that as an additional component.
And this is an open garage. I mean, there's no key code, there's no garage door.
So there's a gate on the 3rd floor that will be, so everything on the 4th and 5th floors, and then part of the 3rd floor of the parking garage will be for Avgeris tenants only.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying beyond that, this is a parking garage that someone can just keep going through it. I mean, without a code or, that kind of thing.
Up to the 3rd level, yes.
Right.
Yep.
Does the garage have an elevator?
Yes, so there will be elevators on the north and south sides to make it handicap compliant.
Are they within the village property?
No,
I believe
they're within the developer's property.
Yeah.
Okay, so the developer will maintain the elevators.
And the village will help just because Metro users will be using them too. That'll be part of the parking lease agreement that the village board would enter into with the developer.
Karen, how long is the master lease of the parking spaces that we're talking from the developer?
That's a good question. I don't remember off the top of my head.
And so I guess that, and are there renewal rights in that with the lease for the developer, or?
Presumptively, it would be a very long-term lease that would go roughly, 50 plus years, probably, something significantly long-term.
So X dollars tied to a CPI increase, and it's not contingent on occupancy?
Maybe I can add something. This is Lawrence Friedman. I'm the developer's attorney. We just got a draft from the village attorney, Mr. Knippen, about 2 days ago we haven't even reviewed it, frankly, of the initial lease. So we are not even familiar with the details of those, but the village is proposing through their attorney, and perhaps obviously staff can get you a copy, a draft of that lease, which should have all those terms, and we're going to respond to Mr. Knippen within the next week or so. but we haven't even had a chance ourselves to go through it yet. It was just initiated by the village.
But the draft, so I can add to that, the draft we received is a 75-year lease with 2 10-year options.
Okay, that more or less, thank you, Stuart and Larry, for chiming in on that. That more or less answers my question.
Mhm.
Any other questions for me before we swear in Tim and Stuart for their presentation?
Yeah, how many years does it take before a garage starts crumbling and you have to resurface it? And then that would fall in the village, right?
Yeah, so with routine and preventative maintenance as recommended by Walker, I think you can go 30 to 40 years without seeing any depreciation where you wouldn't need to do any sort of reconstruction of the facility. So it's really about keeping up with the maintenance on a yearly basis to ensure that you don't have any of those issues.
Okay. And has the village talked about leasing spaces out? So let's say that we don't have as many renters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parking spaces open and we have Metro, nobody's traveling.
Yeah.
So you guys have talked about shared parking? Because
Yes.
I would imagine across the street to the north of Lawrence with this type of new density that shopping center is going to look pretty good. It's going to be attractive to a lot of people. So I could only imagine, which is good for the town. So I can only imagine that they might want to use this parking at some point. I know that the bar gets really, really crowded.
Good thing the tenants can just walk across the street.
Yeah.
But that is something that we've discussed. So I think as sort of overall as part of our parking lease agreement that the village would eventually enter into with the developer is they would get the first right to all the remainder non-Metro parking spaces in the garage. And then if, after some time where they've sort of seen what the desire and the need is for the parking, we would have the ability to rent out those spots to someone else if they've sort of told us that they don't foresee using those spaces. But the developer would get the first sort of right to all those spaces.
So then we'd have to figure out how to charge for those spaces because
Right.
wouldn't have license plates, numbers, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
you might have
staff members could always park in Metro spaces as well. You don't have to go onto a Metro train in order to be able to pay to use those spaces. So using those daily fee spaces, I don't think is out of the question either.
Okay, and has the developer ever done anything like this before with this garage situation being leased by the village?
I don't think anyone that we've been working with on this project has seen a project of this scale and this complexity. Even our financial advisors have said that they've never seen a complex deal such as this. So we're really kind of working through it and trying to make sure that we've protected the village as much as possible.
So the developer has never created a piece of property like this where they've had to share a parking garage with the village with a lease in place. Is that, did the developer answer that?
Yeah, we actually have never done it with a village. We've done it with a private entity.
Why don't we get them sworn in and have them?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Karen, can we swear in Tim and Stuart, please?
Yes, sure, absolutely. Who's going first?
I will.
Okay, Tim, can I please get your name and address, please? And then raise your right hand. Okay.
Tim Knudsen, 415 East Granville Avenue, Roselle, Illinois.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And then Stuart?
Yes, Stuart Mills, 3941 Howard Avenue, Western Springs, Illinois, 60558.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay.
So
Tim?
Stu, I don't know, Stu, you want to expand on that? We have
Yeah.
a development in downtown Detroit that we do have a shared garage. And Stu, maybe you can expand on the history of that garage.
Right. The city of Detroit owned a garage that was sold to a private entity, and we have an apartment project above that garage, a tall building, and we have, call it 60% of the parking spaces. So we pay the garage owner a monthly fee similar to this on a long-term lease, very, very similar to this, and they maintain the property and we pay our monthly rent in a lump sum based on the number of spaces.
And has there been any issues that have transpired during that?
Only, and we've tried to buy the garage to control our own destiny, and only in trying to negotiate to buy it, that there's been no other issues.
How long is that lease for?
Original lease
The one
term
we
was
did
100
there was
years.
originally 99 years.
Yeah.
The one that,
What about this one?
this one, the document we received from your village attorney is proposed at 75 years with 2 10-year consecutive options to renew.
You know if there's any sort of a window within that 75 period to exit?
Without going through the entire document, I don't know.
Okay.
I will say that the parking lease agreement is going to be vetted by the TIF commission and the village board too. So it's going to be vetted by multiple members of the community before being considered.
Chairman Patel?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
My name is Jeff Odell. I'm the village administrator for the village. And I've been listening to all these questions, and I certainly appreciate the Planning and Zoning Commission vetting those. As Karen just said, an important part of the redevelopment agreement is a parking lease agreement. And all the provisions and safeguards that you are talking about have been proposed in that agreement that was forwarded by our village attorney to their village attorney. So we are in the process now of working with the developer on those terms and conditions. But I can assure you, everything you've talked about there is built into that agreement. And rather than negotiating in this meeting, we just want to allow that opportunity to work with the developer to come to terms on that, of which then that would be vetted by the TIF Advisory Commission and then with a recommendation to the village board. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Tim or Stuart?
What did you ask, Hiram? If there's any?
Yes, if there are any other questions for Tim or Stuart, or can we let Tim kind of proceed with his presentation?
So.
Does that work? I mean, we can.
Yeah.
Is that all right if I share my screen?
Yep, I'm stopping my share right now.
Okay.
Big.
Sorry about that. All right. Before I go into the project, Stu's just going to kind of give you guys a rundown of who Av Garrison Associates is.
Yeah, so briefly, to keep things quickly, we have, as Av Garrison Associates, have been in business for over 35 years. We're involved with every aspect of the commercial real estate markets, from office, industrial, land development, multifamily, and retail. We have about 8 million square feet of industrial around the country. One of the most local projects that you might know is in Burr Ridge, Illinois. It was a 400-acre development originally in 1984 when we first started it. And the Village Center, downtown Burr Ridge, they call it Burr Ridge Village Center, was designed and done as a part of ours. But we did everything from office development in there to retail to single family, multifamily on that 400 acres. Then this picture is our Detroit project. The one I just mentioned, the tall building with the mural on it is what's called Detroit City Apartments. And there's a 6-story garage underneath that building that we do not own. A private company owns it. And we're just finishing. It's the shorter 5-story building in the front. So we have apartments from Detroit to Minneapolis to Kansas City, Louisville, and our most recent project that you would know or could drive by is in Aurora, right at the train station at Route 59, hence the name Metro 59, similar to Metro 19 that we're calling in Roselle. But this in Aurora was a 232 unit apartment project split up into 4 different buildings and a standalone clubhouse. So this is a project that we finished and has been stabilized for a couple years. One thing I did want to state about us finally is that we're a build to own company. I think that Detroit project that you saw, we bought in 1999. So we're not a typical merchant builder that just builds, gets the property stabilized and sells. So we typically build. That's why we have so many square feet of industrial properties and office, because we like to keep them and hold them for a number of years. So that's the history of Avieres and Associates, and I can turn it over to Tim to talk a little bit more specifically about Roselle.
Thanks, Stu. Yeah, so Karen covered a large amount of the development. Obviously, I think you heard that I'm from Roselle. Here's just I'm just going to run through the renderings real quick of the development. Obviously, this was included with our submittal package. This is looking at the lobby from the north side of the building. This is during the day. You have Irving Park and Lawrence Avenue there. If the bank wasn't, BSB removed the bank so that you could visually see the apartment building. Obviously, you can see the train in the background. Here's the parking garage, rendering of the parking garage along with the residential building. You can see that sign where the Metro sign is. That Metro sign is going to go away, but that is the elevator lobby for the parking garage. Also, what will also go away, because this was an early rendering, will be the garage doors and the gates. That's just something that I think Metro had pushed for removal of. So as you can see here in this area, we currently own the 2.32 acre BMO Harris property and the 1 acre Ray Graham parcel. Metro owns the 1.5 acre piece that the village has been in discussions with on a land swap. The site, this is how the site will lay out across those parcels. Really, this project kind of caught our eye, or kind of started coming to fruition when, as Karen mentioned, the Ray Graham parcel came on the market in 2017. It took a long time to get BMO Harris to be open to selling us the property, but eventually they came around. And here we are today. We're now proposing this current site plan. Karen also mentioned that we have 80 2-bedroom units, 157 1-bedrooms. and I think it's 56 studios. Hold on, let me just, 56 studios that are 19% of the development. The studios will roughly be 525 square feet to 617 square feet. They'll rent roughly per month at 1,300 to 1,600 a month. The one bedroom units will be 689 square feet to 996 square feet, and will roughly rent from $1,600 a month to $2,300 a month. The two beds will be 1,056 square feet to 1,150 square feet roughly, and will rent anywhere from $2,300 a month to $2,550 a month. As you can see, in addition to the units, you can see the parking garage here will have north and south access for Metro users, public, anyone using it for public interest, as well as our residents. One of the challenges with the site is that BMO did not want to move from their existing location, so we had to design this development to fit with the BMO Harris in its current location. As you can also see, there are significant amount of amenities that we're going to, I'm going to run through here in a second, as part of our resort class amenity package that we offer on a lot of these luxury apartment buildings that we've been building the last 10 years. Here's the floor by floor mix. As you can see, we have a good mix of 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and studios on each floor. Just running through the project amenities real quick. There's right now we are proposing a 5 to 6,500 square foot lobby, business center, leasing office, oversized mailroom. About a 2,000 to 2,200 square foot 24/7 fitness center that'll include a yoga, Pilates studio with cardio, free weights, and strength training equipment. As you walk into the building, you'll come in from the north side, you'll walk into the lobby, and you'll be able to stare right through and look at our 1,500 square foot club room. And right through that, you'll be able to see the half-acre resident park. The club room will include a gourmet kitchen and bar, 2-story vaulted ceilings, 2-story fireplace feature, big screen TVs throughout, billiards table, and other games and features. The half-acre resident park will include outdoor TV lounges, sun decks, outdoor grilling stations, cabanas, fire pits, you name it, top of the line amenities. We also had the opportunity to add some additional entertainment spaces on the 5th floor of the apartment development. Actually, I can probably go back. In this area, we will have a golf simulator entertainment space that residents will be able to rent out and use to host parties, as well as utilize the golf simulator features. And then also just below that space, we'll have a maker space for activities and crafts for residents. And then also the community will be a pet-friendly apartment community. On the south side of the development, we'll have a resident dog park. And then just off of that dog park will be a pet and dog grooming stations. And then here are some of the finishes that our interior designers are proposing for the lobby and lounge area as you enter the building. Here is some of the club room and business center spaces and finishes that they are proposing for our club room and business center, as well as this is the same space. This is also the business center. I mean, obviously now that everyone's working from home, this will be a very important amenity that we'll be able to offer residents which will include 24/7 free Wi-Fi if they're in the business center. This is some of the concepts we put together on the strength training and fitness areas. This is that maker space that I discussed, the craft space. And then this is the golf simulator room. In addition to the apartment amenities, there's obviously some high-end unit amenities. We are offering, as part of the development, one free parking space per unit. We've built that into our rent number so that residents don't have to deal with that one parking stall lease. Each unit will include a balcony and patio, stainless steel appliances, granite and quartz countertops, open concept kitchens, LVT flooring throughout, carpeted bedrooms, gas ranges, smart thermostats, refrigerators with ice makers, in-unit washer dryers, keyless entry, 24/7 building access entry, 24-hour emergency maintenance, and a smoke-free community. In addition to the designs we've just showed you today, we've relied a lot on our development team here. BSB is our architects on the development. They do projects like this all the time, and they are on the call here today, and they could speak to some projects they've worked on, as well as this project's challenges. Karen already mentioned KLOA in regards to the traffic. Kane McKenna is our TIF consultant. Kretschmer and Associates, we had to do a market study to evaluate development in the area, the northwest suburbs, and availability in the market for multifamily. McShane Construction is the top four in the top four for construction companies for building multifamily across the nation. I have David Rintz on the call with McShane Construction, and then Merchants Capital is our lender. Just to wrap this up, you know, I live in Roselle. I think this would be a great project. It coincides perfectly with the 2016 comprehensive plan of the village. This is a phenomenal site. It's going to bring 400 to 500 new residents living, eating, dining in Roselle. I know that's probably hard to say right now because of COVID, but I know we're going to get through COVID, and this is going to be a huge, it's going to provide a huge impact to Roselle, and it's going to be significantly beneficial. And we go to the top of the line. We do resort class amenities for these developments, and like Stu said, we hold on to them for the long term. So we're really proud of the design we've put together here today. And with that, I guess I'll just open it to questions.
Tim, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How do I put this? Is there any accommodation made, or did you guys do any planning to do a conversion to condos in future if this project doesn't go your way?
No, we did not. And we did not design this to convert to condos. We don't think that's where the market's going. We think there's enough condos in the Roselle downtown center. We actually think there's a shortage of luxury apartments in Roselle and in the northwest suburbs. Okay. So we did not design it to that.
I have a question. In any of your other developments, there's apartments, correct?
Yes, we have over, what does this do? 3,000 to 3,500 apartment units.
And do those have balconies?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you put any kind of restrictions as far as what they can put on their balconies, what they can hang over it? You know, how do you keep a nice building looking as beautiful as it is, but still have that balance where people can live?
Yeah, we absolutely provide that in the lease agreements. Stu, I don't know if you want to expand on that, but.
Yeah, we have a professional management company that will be there. They'll with the project this size, they'll be there every day, 20, and have engineers there every day. So we do put in our leases requirements that they can't put, satellite dishes or grills. We provide grills in other places for the building. So there's a lot of things that they cannot do on the balconies.
So like hanging laundry to dry? I mean, I know that sounds silly. I know.
No, I mean, yeah.
But the reality is, it might be, well, I know you said that there's laundry accommodations in each unit.
Right.
Right. But, it's a question I would like to ask, because even like with large beach towels and stuff.
No, that's a good point. And we want the development to look as presentable 24/7. I mean, it affects when new renters are coming in to look at the property and rent the space. So it's on the owners of the management company to make sure that a resident, if they are hanging laundry over the balcony, that it doesn't become a continuous and overwhelming thing, and that it's just one or two off minor occurrence.
So does the lease say no laundry hung on balconies?
I would assume it would say nothing can be hung on the balcony.
Okay.
But
I don't know specifically what it says off the top of my head, but I'm sure we can make sure we add that and provide a copy of our lease,
right,
that we can show you that you're going to be protected from anything ugly.
Okay. I have another question. Your fitness center,
yes.
would you ever be renting that out to an independent company? So like, let's say Anytime Fitness, if they wanted to go ahead and put their.
That's not our plan. We would potentially offer trainers to come in and offer services to residents to use a private trainer or yoga instructor as call it an added amenity to utilize that space. But no, we wouldn't be subletting the space to a third party fitness company.
And the reason I ask is because if you were able to do that, then that would affect parking.
Yeah, no, that's not the plan. There won't be visitors coming here to utilize the fitness centers.
Okay. Looking at all my notes here. I know I have more. I do have, this was something that I was kind of playing around with when I was reviewing this the other day. And Karen, it would require you to pull it up.
Yep.
I too have lived in Roselle all my life. And I do go to BMO. And I'm old fashioned. I still go through the drive-through. And that corner kind of gets bottleneck coming off.
Tim, can you stop? Sorry, Beth. Tim, can you stop
yeah.
sharing your screen real quick? Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
So anyways, it tends to get bottlenecked a lot of times when you're trying to turn off of Irving onto Lawrence, especially when you're going west on Irving. So I would appreciate it if we considered, and I know it's along down the path to consider something like this, but I just want to throw it out there that I have an added lane. It's the blue lines, so that if we do have that bottleneck, that someone can still go east on Lawrence and get out of, and the person turning into either the bank or your proposal can get out of the way. I've seen it with trucks making those big turns and stopping traffic. I know that we've got the fire trucks that go down that way. They for some reason, I don't know why there's so many fire calls down Lawrence and in that neighborhood, but there is all the time. So what this is suggesting is you'd have to, pull back to the south with this whole thing to accommodate that right lane, which is like a dump lane. I don't know the
Yeah,
specific term for it, but this is just one of my big concerns.
that eliminates the parkway, if I'm looking at that.
Well, I mean, I just kind of quickly put this together. I'm not saying to, well, as far as a parkway, I wouldn't want to. I mean, I'd still like to have the trees and everything on the parkway, but this is just, it's not me to figure out how to design it. I'm just saying this is one of my concerns, is the bottleneck of traffic turning right down to Lawrence off of Irving. And this is just one idea.
If we want to swear in someone from KLOA, they can probably speak to this, right, Tim?
Yeah, I'm sure Javier here is from KLOA. He could probably provide some insight to here. I don't know that, I'll just add, I don't know that we evaluate, I don't know if this, I guess I'll let Javier expand on that.
Yep. I have good evening. My name is Javier Milan. I haven't been sworn in. If somebody wants to swear me in.
Yes, Javier, please. Can I get your name and address? Full name and address?
Yes. My name is Javier Milan. I'm a principal with KLOA Incorporated. That's 9575 West Higgins Road in Rosemont.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you, Javier. Go ahead.
Yes, with regards to the provision of an exclusive right turn lane to actually remove a vehicle that is making a right, slowing down to make a right to go into the site. We looked at it, we analyzed it, we run simulation models, numerous ones. And why I say numerous ones, because as you know, traffic changes daily, hourly. It's not always constant. Sometimes you might have a surge and sometimes you don't. So based on that, the projected traffic volumes that are making a right into that access drive that it's going to serve the development as well as the bank is if you're going in, and then just making a right, do not warrant the right turn lane. We can look into it to see, like you said, if there's any way to accommodate something like that without destroying the parkway or minimize the destruction of the parkway. But based on analysis and the warrants, it is not required or warranted.
Well, and also you suggested that, well, you didn't suggest, you said that you had bought the BMO. What's to say that down the line, BMO, you don't need the bank and you want to build on that property and open that up even more. Could be more traffic. So I just think
that would have to come before the Plan Commission, Beth. Any changes to the BMO site would have to be approved by the Plan Commission and Village Board.
Right, but why not solve a problem now? Because I think it will be a problem and could be a problem in the future. Like I said, I bank at BMO, I go through the drive-through weekly. It's just that's just my gut, I guess.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. The hard part for us was BMO would not leave that location. They would not modify their building. They would not do any, they didn't want to see no change to that branch. So we tried as hard as we could to get them to make modifications. And literally our site had to really work around them staying as is. That was the only way that we could get this project underway.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting to close up the drive-through. That I know my blue line goes through there, but it's not intended to. My blue line is just basically to have another lane on the right.
I would also like to add that if you move the edge of pavement closer to the apartment building, closer to the buildings on site, closer to that parking lot that's parallel to Lawrence, you make the radius to turn, the ability to turn into that lot harder because they're not changing the location of the parking lot. If you move where you're starting from with your turn, it makes it harder to get into the lot. And I saw the auto turn displays on some of the exhibits, and it would really compromise the ability for a service vehicle or a delivery vehicle to even get into that front parking lot if we move the edge of pavement over so much more.
But Terry, the building hasn't been built yet, so the building can move south a little bit. I mean,
Unfortunately, we don't have, I think, any room to the south.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's a consideration of mine. I'd like the trustees to at least know that this was brought up, and go from there.
One last thing that I would like to add to that, if I may, adding that exclusive right turn lane, if it's ever added, it also creates some additional problems for the outbound traffic from the BMO Harris Bank. Because now you're crossing an additional lane of traffic if you're trying to exit and go left. So there's pros and cons to everything. I just wanted to say that we're not saying no, but there's always pros and cons to everything. And I believe it was Mr. Patel who also brought up the concerns with shifting that further or closer to the building and how much more difficult it will be also for vehicles to make the turns.
I mean, it's hard to exit out of the drive-through as it is.
Correct. And if we add another lane, it makes it harder too. So I again, all I'm trying to say is there's pros and cons to everything.
Let's see. Oh, your basins underneath the 3 plots of.
It's like Beth is frozen. Do any other commissioners have any questions for the developer before we open it up to the public?
How much water they?
Sorry, Beth, I think you were frozen.
Oh, I was just questioning the water basins underneath each plot, under each structure, and wondering, was that, I'm sure that was figured for 100-year, but what is the maintenance on those? Because I did a little bit of research and it seems like those have to be maintained as well. And if the village has also, taken that into consideration.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
So the developer would be in charge of the maintenance for the 2 vaults for the apartment building. And then the village would be in charge of maintenance for the vault under the parking garage. And that is something that we've talked to Walker Consultants about.
So it's going to catch all the water. Is that, I mean, that's the plan, this is the detention.
Yeah, Kristen, are you on?
And Kim, or is Kim on? Kim could probably speak to those.
Yeah, if Kim wants to talk first, or I can go ahead and talk.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Okay, so the detention under the garage will take the water that comes from the actual parcel that the parking garage is on, as that is what the village owns, as well as a small portion just to the south of the apartment building. The water from the metro lot will also flow through that area as well. The actual maintenance costs on the detention itself is minimal. It's more a need to clean the structures prior to the basin and on the other side of the basin downstream. So it really is nothing more than the regular catch basin cleaning that the village would be doing anyway.
Okay. And then on that note, I was thinking about the pool water and stuff. Is that a salt water or is that a chlorinated pellet pool?
I don't think we've gotten to that level of the designs. I don't know what, Joe, do you have any recommendations? And we probably have to swear Joe Mashik with BSB in to discuss the pool.
And so when that gets drained, where does that water go? Down the street?
No, that would go into the basin, into the basins on our property.
Okay.
Yes. They'll be coordinated with the civil information as well.
Okay. I've been doing all the talking. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question as well. Depending on traffic count, I mean, I know you guys did a traffic study, but what is the impact to the level of traffic eastbound on Lawrence from Irving Park.
Sorry, I had to mute myself. Yes, we did the comprehensive traffic study, and just like you mentioned, we did the counts. We increased traffic to take into account that there's going to be growth. Besides this development, there's going to be what we call background growth. And then we added the traffic that will be generated by the proposed development. So, and I believe you were specifically referring to Irving Park and Lawrence, is that correct, sir?
Yeah, eastbound on Lawrence. I just want to find out how much traffic increase is, what the impact is on that.
Yes.
Road.
So from the analysis, the intersection in itself, overall, will continue operating at the same level of service. And not to get too technical, but level of service is a letter designation that is given to intersections to determine how well or how bad they're operating. So for the eastbound approach, and I'm just going to give you some numbers in here. Sorry, I'm looking at the unsignalized intersections. So for the eastbound approach, the westbound approach, I keep on saying eastbound approach. Right now, overall, that operates a level of service D in the morning and level of service E in the evening. Certainly the evening is the one that carries the majority of the traffic coming out of the train station and going west. So just to give you in terms of increase, the volume increase, and sorry if I'm flipping over, but I want to give you some magnitude in here. We would be adding about approximately during that peak hour, approximately about 40 to 45 vehicles. When you think about that number of traffic or volume that you're adding, it's minimal in the sense that you could count on a different day and you could have that change of traffic, 40 to 45 vehicles. So we're not talking like we're adding 200 more going westbound.
Sure, but what's 45 to 50 per day, per hour? I mean,
no. During the peak hour, in the afternoon, the evening peak hour.
Okay.
Going westbound, those are basically split. And if I'm going to be a specific, 24 vehicles that would be making a left, if they're traveling southbound, and then 20, I believe, making a right.
Okay. What is that peak hour? What time interval is that?
Yes, the peak hour is 4:45 to 5:45.
What is the count now during that peak hour?
I'll let you know in a second.
Oh, okay.
Right now, during that peak hour, westbound traffic, we have 165 vehicles making a left and 355 vehicles making a right during that hour.
So we're adding 40 to 45 more.
Total, yes, total going westbound.
Is there any negative impact going eastbound?
No, going eastbound will work fine because you have, for example, vehicles will be coming from the north and from the south. From the north, you have a left turn lane on Irving Park Road. From the south, they're making a right. So going eastbound, they basically would be traveling quote unquote free flow until they get to their access point, whatever they're going to turn.
Gotcha. Okay.
So for the village, I know that in our ad hoc meeting, way back when we had the consultant, we talked about the apartments down the way on Lawrence on the left-hand side someday being redeveloped. So if that property were ever redeveloped and more dense, that would add obviously to these counts.
I mean, if that project got redeveloped, it would also have to go through the planning and zoning.
No, I know.
Well, the impact of the new traffic would be have to take consideration then.
No, I know. I just want to make sure that we're kind of doing our due diligence on this. You know, we also have a lot of pedestrians that cross on Lawrence. So there's going to be more traffic there. It is a place where there's not too many places where you can cross Irving Park Road to get from one side to the other in this general area. This is really the only intersection. So to me, it's an important intersection to make sure that we really evaluate it. Dot our I's, cross our T's, and just really think about it. It's one thing to have traffic counts and things like that, but it's another to be kind of realistic too, in a sense.
Well, I mean, just one thing. When I say counts, we normally count for 2 to 3 hours in the morning, 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon. Why 2 to 3 hours? Because within that period, you're going to find the peak hour. The counts include pedestrians and bicycles. And what I mentioned was we do not analyze in a vacuum. So we analyze beyond the existing conditions. So those existing volumes, we actually increased them by a growth factor of 8.5%. Then we added our traffic. So we're not analyzing in a vacuum. We're taking into account that there's going to be some additional growth in the area.
Okay.
Kristen, I believe, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it's important to note that while the village reviewed the traffic and KLOA reviewed the traffic, that we did actually have IDOT, who tends to take a very conservative approach to these type of things. They reviewed the traffic at the intersection of Irving Park and Lawrence, as well as further down Lawrence. And as part of their review, they had no concerns about the impacts to the traffic on Lawrence. So while there may be impacts in the future with future developments, at this time, there isn't one that we're seeing, IDOT seen, or KLOA is seen.
And then just a note for, there were 2 questions about when the traffic counts were done. They were all done pre-COVID. Right, Javier, do you remember what days you guys had it was very early 2020, late 2019.
Correct. The counts were conducted February of 2020. So this was before the March, what I'm going to call it the lockdown when COVID. So this was still normal traffic.
And cold.
Karen.
Oh, yeah, yes, sorry. I didn't hear you.
I said, and in the winter when it's cold.
Yes.
Jason, yeah.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Actually, a couple of questions as it segues into this. I don't have the proposed master plan that you did for the steering committee. How does this completely fall within that? It seems like it fell in line with some of the plans of the steering committee and what you wanted to see in density.
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan from 2016, we had requested the consultant to do a separate plan just for sort of the town center area and how to basically make it nicer than how it was at the time. So part of that is called for creating sort of a physical connection between the town center, which is where Main Street is, Starbucks, the municipal complex, and the train station, because these were 2 areas in close proximity that have a lot of relation to each other. So in order to create physical connections, you have to create density between the 2 spaces. We have a lot of density in the town center. So this project is part of creating the density near the train station. In the past 10, 15 years, we've also seen a large increase in transit-oriented development projects, not only in the city, but also in the suburbs around metro train stations. So we would consider this a TOD project. That's why we're fairly comfortable with the parking ratio, because we understand a lot of the tenants are going to be commuters taking public transportation every day and won't necessarily have 2, 3, 4 vehicles. So I think this sort of ties in very well to the town center sub area plan listed in the comprehensive plan.
It's okay. I wanted to confirm, and I didn't have the other one up, the old map that we had done previously. And with that, it's a nice segue. Maybe this satisfies one of Beth's questions. As you talk about the connectivity, has there been any consideration either from the village? I don't know whose responsibility it would be, whether it's IDOT's, the village, or even the developers, but a more pronounced crosswalk capabilities that would be taking place between the town center and this development?
Yeah, so this is something we've been considering even back in 2016. The ultimate desire and goal, I think, and part of it would be a TIF eligible project, is to build that physical connection So to do a crosswalk sort of as the bird flies, sort of, or as the crow flies along the train tracks, but obviously separated in order to connect the metro station, the shopping centers in that location, to the American Legion, to Pollyanna, to Linford, to Little Red Ribbon, to all of these great businesses that we have on Main Street. Right now, people would have to walk down Maple. So by creating density, we sort of create that desire from people who would then use that pedestrian bridge. So then the village knows that, you know, people are going to use it and it's going to be a positive benefit to the community.
Yeah, that bridge was also, I think, our number one thing. If anything could be done out of that ad hoc meeting or, you know, committee, that was the one thing that we really wanted to have done because of the connectivity.
Yeah, and I think construction sort of this project and bringing new residents to that area will help us design sort of a pedestrian bridge that is going to be useful and beneficial to the new residents.
I guess my my last question, and this might be more of directional, as I was going through the different renderings and different pieces that you had done. Is there a rendering view? You know, one of kind of the village views that they've done was like from the train station, the water tower, kind of looking over, you know, the village that way. Is there a rendering I'm missing that kind of shows it from that Irving Park view that incorporates the train station?
I don't think so.
All our renderings are from the north or the east. Sorry.
Thank you, Tim.
Are there any other questions for the developer? Otherwise, I have some public comments that came in prior to the meeting that I'd like to read into the record.
I was just wondering how tall these trees are going to grow. The ones proposed off of Lawrence in Irving.
Joe, do you know what you?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here.
Can we swear in, Joe?
Oh,
Joe,
yes. Yes.
So, need your full name and your address, please?
Joseph William Mashek, 220 Smith Road, Palatine, Illinois.
And then do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Go and continue.
Let me pull up the landscape plan I've got on my screen. There are street trees that are shade trees in the parkway on Lawrence. We've left the existing trees at BMO Bank, the shade trees in the parkway. We've added an oak about 25 feet or about 20 feet off the sidewalk between the BMO Harris Bank and the apartment proposal. And we have some ornamental trees between the sidewalk along the facade of the building. So yes, there are some trees. There's shade trees in the parkway and some ornamental trees.
Yeah, I was just wondering how tall they were going to grow. The ones along the perimeter.
The ones along the perimeter are shade trees, so they'll grow to be 50 feet, standard street tree.
Okay, so almost reaching the top, shy 10 feet of the.
Yeah, these are your standard shade trees. There's hackberries along Lawrence. The existing lindens are left at the bank. And we've also added some maples to the west near the Metro entrance. We pulled those back onto the property though to improve the sight lines.
Okay, and no one's brought up snow removal or anything. I guess nobody really cares about where the snow's gonna be.
The association has to take care of it.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Except for the village, except for the parking.
Yeah, so the village has, we've been working with Walker to go over a snow management plan. So the design of the garage will be able to carry the weight of snow And then we're working on creating, making sure that village vehicles are available to be able to plow, be able to navigate, because obviously your street plow is not going to be able to fit into this parking structure. So they've been working with Public Works to make sure that we have vehicles that have snow plow attachments that can manage the snow up on the roof.
Okay, and then what about the refuse, the garbage? How's that being handled? And where is it located?
Joe, do you want to pull up a plan to show them?
Sure. Let me.
Yeah, if you want, Joe, you can share your screen.
Okay. I've got a landscape pulled up, so we'll use that. Let me see how I can share here. If you bear with me for a second.
Or I could pull up the site plan if you want.
Sure. If you can, Tim, that would be great.
Sure.
Oh, share screen. Here we go. If you don't mind, I can pull it up right now.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I have to get rid of you people. All right. The maintenance area along the west side of the northwest corner of the building. Garbage will be, all the refuse will be maintained through this area next to the parking garage, and everything would be wheeled out daily or when needed. So they would all be behind closed doors and then wheeled out as needed.
So the garbage truck would be parking on Lawrence then?
Yes, it would pull over onto Lawrence and would load and then leave.
Okay, and from your experience with a building of this magnitude, this probably goes towards the developer. How long does that take for them to empty the garbage?
I think it's 5-10 minutes, right, Stu?
Yeah, not even. It's about 5 minutes. They're in and out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's real quick.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful building. And I think it's going to be great for us. Just thought I'd throw in some positives because I'm always coming in with all these questions.
Oh, they're all good questions.
Any other questions?
What kind of HOA fees are you guys gonna have?
I'm sorry, what?
None.
HOA fees?
None.
No. No. All expenses will be built into their rent, and if there is other amenities that similar to like renting out a club room or a golf simulator room, they pay additional for that.
Okay.
If I may, I'll read some of the public comments I got in advance into the record. The first is from Michael Weflin. I have two questions I'd like to have addressed. Number one, what is going to be done to mitigate the additional traffic congestion at Lawrence and Irving Park Road that will result from the increased number of vehicles serving 293 more residences on Lawrence Avenue? Prior to COVID-19, during peak travel times, traffic often got backed up onto Irving Park Road due to vehicles being unable to make the left turn into the Roselle Commons Strip Center. I can only imagine that the situation will get even worse. Number two, what are the plans to relocate the residents of the Ray Graham site when they're displaced by the destruction of their current homes? I also received a comment from Laura Sawicki. I have been in development for 25 plus years, including apartment development, and a Roselle resident for 22 years. Unfortunately, this project looks like you're putting 10 pounds into a 2-pound bag. The 5-story building is too dense for this part of the village. It made sense on the south side of town where you put several condominium projects in the town center, but it does not make sense in this area where it will be the only building of this size. A 3-story building would be better served in this area. Also, even though I have worked with Koenig Lundgren in my professional career, I disagree with parts of their study. Everyone seems to think that less parking will be needed due to this train station. However, this is not a true town center. There is no grocery store in Roselle, so residents are going to have to travel outside of the area to shop. Therefore, they will have vehicles. The parking ratios as required by code should be followed. There also is no recommendation to do anything to the intersection of Irving Park and Lawrence. In the 500 feet from Irving Park to the project, there are 9 curb cuts. This is already a nightmare with cars turning in all different directions. I do not see any traffic counts to any of the 3 curb cuts to Roselle Commons. I'm a regular visitor to the center. It is horrible at rush hour. Between the shopping center, BMO Harris drive-through and metro traffic, it backs up, which is why you are already at a D and E level. The left turn lane bay onto Irving is not long enough, and the light at Irving is too long. The left turn lane backs up and blocks the right turn lane. It would be nice if there was some type of improvement for Irving and Lawrence, and some curb cuts are changed to right in, right out only, or something to direct traffic and eliminate so many conflicts. I oppose the project as proposed. And those are the only 2 I received prior to the meeting.
And both of them are concerned with the same concern I have with that Irving and Lawrence. And I think she did a great job of even extending my concerns with all the curb cuts. And also making a left onto off of Lawrence into that shopping center.
I don't know if Javier wants to expand on some of those specifically.
I mean, all I can offer is, while I have seen it, just like everybody has seen it, that left turn movement into the Roselle Commons being a problem. The unfortunate situation for that shopping center is that they don't have enough frontage along Irving Park to get some type of access that would actually reduce the left turn movement. I believe when I measure that, the distance between center line of that intersection to the edge of the Roselle Commons, it's about maybe 300 feet or 220 feet. And the state will probably most likely say no to some type of curb cut on Irving Park Road, even if it's just a right in to absorb some of that traffic and reduce the amount of left turners that currently happen and are making a left onto Roselle Commons from Lawrence. With regards to the light at Irving, certainly IDOT has jurisdiction over that signal. They're the ones to determine the cycle length and the splits. They will certainly give preference to Irving Park Road in terms of how much green time they do get. That's their policy, and they're trying to move traffic on Irving Park. Lawrence is a major collector, is collecting traffic from all of the uses and residential uses and the metro parking lot, and certainly carries some traffic. Unfortunately, it has to compete with Irving Park, and those backups are typical. However, they are not abnormal. The level of service D is actually a level of service that is acceptable. And the state, as it was mentioned, has reviewed this, has taken a look at it, and has agreed with the findings of the traffic study. Elimination of curb cuts along Lawrence Avenue, it's always a positive. I believe the plan, as it's shown, has eliminated in some ways some of the cuts that were there, and has actually simplified some of the operation. Other than that, I mean, we believe the development has done everything within their power to actually simplify the traffic situation along Lawrence Avenue. If you guys, if you, Tim, want to add something else, that's all I have right now.
Kristen, go
Kristen?
ahead. You wanted to say something?
I was going to say the village can evaluate further if we need to restrict the movements at any or all of those first two entrances into the Roselle Commons Shopping Center, it is something we can look at. They do have 3 entrances, so some could be reduced to right in, right out if there are traffic backups, regardless of this development.
Yeah, and I'd just like to, I guess, add on to what Javier said. We designed the development as best as possible when in considering the traffic. You know, I think a lot of the Metro parking lot traffic will also be pushed to Rose Drive East now versus coming out of Rose Drive West, which may slow some things down a little bit, but we do have to keep in mind, I think the development in the town center, a lot of this traffic is coming during rush hour. It's a short amount of time. And it's when the trains are unloading all of their passengers. So it's part of, I think, being in a downtown setting in general. So like I said, we did as much as we could with the development in regards to the traffic.
Okay, it looks like we have a couple people in the audience who have their hand raised. Brian, do you wanna?
Yeah, so Tony Genie has had their hand raised for a while. I'm gonna allow Tony Genie will be unmuted and allowed to talk. We'll have to be sworn in to have our questions answered. So.
Hello?
Yes, here, and you want to swear them in?
Sure. Tony, can I get your full name and your address, please?
My name is Anthony Bonavolanta, 845 Butternut Court, Roselle, Illinois.
And then can you please raise up your right hand?
Sure.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much, Tony. Go ahead and continue.
Thank you. Very good presentation. I've been listening to it from the beginning. I'm glad that you were able to get the exhibits to show up. Being my age, sometimes I can't pull up any of the exhibits. I think you've covered an awful lot of comments that were brought up by Beth and the rest of the staff there and the people that were doing it. I've lived in this town since 1965. Jeannie and I moved out here when the population was, I think, around 2,400 people. My father thought that God lost his shoes here. I was one of the people that followed up. We like it here. We think it's a great town. I think this would be a fantastic development for the village of Roselle. Everyone is afraid of something new. I don't think you should be frightened because it's a 5-story building. This will do nothing but add more people to the town that will be part of this municipality and will do nothing but good. There are issues. I think people brought up some of the issues, but the issues can't be resolved unless they're brought up, and you have to look at them. The pedestrian bridge is excellent. The access along Lawrence Avenue, you got to look at that. There are problems there, but I think we as a village will overcome most of those. So as a resident, I think I speak for my wife, we're in favor of this kind of development to come into our town.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, Tony, we're going to put you back on mute. We do have some other questions that came in through the Q&A. I want to just start at the top because they were filtering down and kind of incorporated and already answered. But the first question talks about the impact studies that were done for utilities, water police, EMT responders, and school districts, mainly asking, have other residents of nearby neighborhoods been asked how they feel about the impact of the project and how it will impact them directly?
I think as part of, just to speak to the impact on utilities and police and fire, these are all things that village staff considered upon review of the project. We have reviewed the number of students we expect to come out of this project based on actual findings from buildings within the current town center. So using school age children counts from the school district's for Main Street Station and Thorngate and Village Crossing and Park Street Crossing, we were sort of able to extrapolate an expectation of how many kids would be coming out of this complex, and we don't expect very many due to the prevalence of 1-bedroom and studio units in the apartment complex. Utilities were also studied. That's how we discovered that the sanitary sewer force main would need to be upsized in order to accommodate this number of units. So the developer will be constructing that upgrade as part of their overall construction of the project. The village will be reviewing, approving, and inspecting those improvements as part of an agreement that the village will enter into with the developer, for the parking garage. The developer will also construct the improvements to Rose Drive East. And all of this is to try to minimize the impact construction-wise on the neighborhood as much as possible by having crews and workers that are already going to be on site provide some of these public improvements. So I hope that answers some of those questions.
The only other topic that I see on the Q&A that maybe hasn't been addressed is just the issue of the O'Hare and Schaumburg Airport and the flight plans. I'm not sure if somebody wants to address that. All the other questions or comments are related to Lawrence Avenue and the diversion of traffic.
I think we responded to the airport traffic, correct?
We responded to Schaumburg. We didn't respond to O'Hare.
What was the specific question, O'Hare?
It was, I think, does this need to be reviewed in relation to O'Hare Airport and the new flight plans that they've sort of been introducing?
Excuse me.
I think.
Are you asking in terms of building height?
Yes.
I think so, is what the person was asking about.
I would, in the stuff, again, Lawrence Friedman, I'm the attorney for the developer. I don't believe a 5-story building or whatever would fall in the parameters. If you're over a certain height, you have to go get FAA sign off. I don't think you haven't done that in any other comparably height building in the area before, have you? I would think that's well below the number. Yeah.
The only building that ever had to do it, I believe, is the Ambridge build out over on West Irving Park Road, because they're literally next to the Schaumburg Airport.
Yeah, when you get right next to it, but this distance from an airport that many stories in height, I would be surprised if there were any height requirements federally imposed.
Okay.
At this time, we have no further questions on the Q&A or any hands raised from the public.
All right. Any further questions, comments from the commissioners? Do the commissioners want to discuss the motions or any conditions that they want to make? They want to include in the findings of fact?
Do we need to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Yeah, I'd do a final call to see if anyone wants to raise their hand or submit a question into the Q&A just to cover our bases. But so if anyone in the audience wants to ask a question or make a statement, please either raise your hand or submit a question into the Q&A.
While we wait for that, I just wanted to make a point that I truly appreciate all the due diligence that went into the plan. Its alignment with the comprehensive plan, as well as this is just a complete packet of due diligence that really represents all the different concerns that we're looking for. So well done to staff and well done, obviously, to the developers as well.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm not seeing any hands raised or any further questions, so.
Okay, so let's make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay.
We'll do Josh for the second.
Yeah, I think it was Terry for the, was it Josh for the second or Terry?
Terry's already had a lot of seconds. We'll give it to Josh if that's okay with Terry.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Jason Wertz,
Yes.
Josh Bickford,
Yes.
Tom Stringfellow,
Yes.
Beth Kellerstein,
Yes.
Terry Wallach,
Yes.
Chairman Patel.
Yes. Okay,
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
is any conditions that you guys want to discuss or any regarding the motions?
Well, do we have to first, I thought this was kind of a two-parter. Don't we have to first do the zoning from B2 to B3?
Yes. So what we'll do
Oops, I
is,
can't hear.
you can't hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. So there's going to be several motions. There's going to be the findings of fact for the zoning map amendment. There's going to be the findings of fact for the special uses. And then there's going to be the recommendation to the village board. I would include the conditions of approval if you guys want to include any, including the ones that staff has suggested in the staff report as part of the recommendation to the village board. And obviously that can include any other conditions that you guys see fit.
So any conditions that the commissions want to discuss with the, more specifically about the special use, the special uses?
I definitely want to include more study and consideration on the park or on the traffic flow off of Irving and Lawrence.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Okay. I'd like to make sure that the balcony restrictions is definitely put into the leases.
Okay, any other conditions? Okay, then Karen, I guess we're gonna vote on the findings of fact on the special uses for the planned development with the conditions outlined by staff and for the study for the traffic study on Irving Park and Lawrence, as well as balcony restrictions included in the lease. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, does everyone agree with those conditions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't have a, yeah. Do we need to also specifically include the recommendations from staff, the 6 recommendations here?
Yeah, I was just going to read them out just so everyone was clear.
What's just to be clear, what are the additional traffic studies that you're requesting? That if IDOT's already looked at this, if they had a third party, somebody educate me on what we're asking them to do.
Okay, so like the new apartments that were just done down Irving Park Road to the east.
Yep.
Okay, traffic studies were done there. I made a recommendation to go ahead and widen a certain portion of the street because you're going up a hill. And they did. It went to the trustees and they went ahead and they did that regardless of what the traffic study said. So just because that there's traffic studies, I still feel that sometimes common sense can be a part of planning something.
Well, we know common sense is a
And
lost.
I like the,
It's a lost art.
what? Well, not for me, it's not.
I'm not arguing the fact of asking for more. I don't know what you're asking for. What studies are we making a recommendation on it, or are we asking for a study? Because I heard you were asking for a study and I don't know what study.
Yeah, so I don't have the answers to this. There's been multiple people that agree that this has a bottleneck. So I think village needs to do what they need to do to make sure that they feel confident that this is not going to be a problem. And maybe there's a balance between the developer and the village. I don't know. I'm just expressing my concerns as well as the other people express their concerns. And so here it is. Do you agree that this should be looked at further? Or maybe you just want to go ahead and agree with the traffic study and call it.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate here on it. If what I've heard about most of the concern about the traffic, if this is just us talking about the concept, what we're asking for here, it really seems like the biggest issue is somebody turning onto that road and somebody turning into the retail center there, which then bottlenecks traffic that was heading westbound on Irving Park Road. Was that correct? What most people were?
And what we heard in this presentation was that we've got a classification of E, and that basically raises the traffic count by 45 to 50. And I'm kind of questioning that, because if we've got bottlenecks already, are we really truly saying that we've only got a 50 car impact during that peak hour interval? I don't know. I don't buy it.
And they own the BMO Harris Bank property now. Maybe that needs to be looked at. Maybe they can do so. I know that BMO doesn't want to allow anything to happen to their building stuff. But
Yeah, it's part of their contract with Abjaris, is they're not allowed to make any physical changes to the existing BMO Harris site plan. BMO was very clear about that they want no changes done.
Yeah,
Right.
I could see BMO not wanting to change their footprint in the least bit. I mean, every bank is looking for that ideal footprint that BMO has on that corner. You know, same with Associated Bank down the street. They all want to be 4,000 square feet and standalone.
yeah, no, I just meant like, you take, a foot away from, their property on the road and make that curb cut a little bit, what do I say, not so sharp. And, I don't know. I'm not.
Would it be the curb cut or somehow that the retail center needs a turning lane just the same?
Maybe it's both. And maybe there can be some type of agreement, because it's all about safety. And you would think that everybody would want to do what they can to provide safety and for pedestrians and cars. So I don't know.
Tim, the public hearing is closed. You can't speak, just to let you know. But Kristen, if you want to go ahead as staff, you can say something.
Okay, I think it's just important to note that we have had not only staff review, KLOA has prepared the traffic study. They're a very respected firm as well. IDOT has reviewed this, in addition to HR Green as a third-party independent reviewer has also reviewed the traffic study. I believe, hearing what people are saying, the issue is more related to turning into Roselle Commons, and that is something that staff can evaluate. I'm not sure that a future traffic study or further traffic study is going to look at anything that's going to find anything related to the curb cuts turning into this property. It's more what is on the north side of Irving Park Road.
So Kristen, would a more correct statement be to reevaluate that intersection for safety, if you will, and congestion?
Well, and I guess I'm naive in it. I'm wondering, where's the line drawn here before making obviously a recommendation on the record here for something that obviously is a concern or has some discussion points, but maybe not attaching it to approval of the project moving forward, or because I don't know that I want to agree to having another traffic study as a condition of approval.
Right.
I would view this as a different, the issue tends to be related more to the existing conditions than anything the development is bringing in.
I would agree with that.
No changes so the intersection can be made by the village. It's all IDOT, and IDOT reviewed the intersection and they do not want to make any changes.
For me, I really just wanted the trustees to talk this. That's all.
Well, I think, I mean, in the meeting minutes, I think that's going to be heavily, included, I think. I mean, we've been talking about traffic studies quite a bit. So, Beth, I mean, if your concern is to basically, verse that to the trustees, I think that's going to happen, no matter what.
Yeah, so that was my only condition, is that this doesn't. I don't want it to get buried into minutes that aren't read. Okay, that's my thing, and I just don't want them to be buried. I want the trustees to know that it was a concern for a couple of us commissioners, as well as residents.
We have the mayor on the call, so he's been watching this whole thing. So I think he's heard this discussion loud and clear. I believe there's a trustee who's also been watching this on Zoom. My staff report, he just raised his hand. David Pileski's on the line. My staff report, I think, in general, usually reflects the discussion that occurs and the concerns that were brought up both by the public and the planning commissioners when I write them for the village board for their consideration. So I don't think this will be varied, Beth. I think this is good points, and I think hearing feedback and especially with Public Works, maybe there are things that we can do to improve the curb cuts and turning movements into the shopping center to the north. But we have heard you.
Okay, and I will be at the meeting. Or will request if I can be at the trustee meeting, the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, they're available to everyone to view and participate.
This is a big one.
Yep.
I mean, this is a great project, and it's big, it's important. And, you know, it's, like I said, we just owe it to everyone to do our due diligence on it.
All right, so let's do a take two. Can we get a vote for the findings of fact on the special use of the planned unit development with the conditions outlined by staff and the balcony restrictions included in the leases?
And then just for the record, I'll read the staff recommended conditions. Number 1, review and approval of preliminary engineering plans by the village engineer or their designee. Number 2, submittal and approval of the final site engineering plans for the Metro 19 development prior to building permit issuance. Submittal and approval. Number 3, submittal and approval of the final stormwater management report. Number 4, submittal and approval of the final plat of subdivision, including all required easements. Number 5, submittal and approval of the final engineering plans for the upsizing of the existing sanitary sewer force main. And number 6, submittal and approval of the final engineering plans for Rose Drive East.
And so then the balcony will be
Would be the 7th.
Okay,
So can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion. Oh, Terry did it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, can I get a roll call vote?
Terry Wallach,
Aye.
Beth Kellerstein,
Aye.
Tom Stringfellow,
Aye.
Josh Bickford,
Aye.
Jason Wertz,
Yes.
Chairman Patel.
Aye. Okay, can I get a vote for the findings of fact for the map amendment?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Josh.
roll call vote?
Jason Wertz,
Yes.
Josh Bickford,
Yes.
Tom Stringfellow,
Aye.
Beth Kellerstein,
Aye.
Terry Wallach,
Aye.
Chairman Patel.
Aye. Okay, and then lastly, can I get a recommendation to the village board? A vote the recommendation to the village board.
So moved.
Okay,
Terry.
Second.
do we have a second?
Second.
Josh.
Okay, roll call vote?
Terry Wallach,
Aye.
Josh Bickford,
Yes.
Jason Wertz,
Yes.
Beth Kellerstein,
Aye.
Tom Stringfellow,
Aye.
Chairman Patel.
Aye. Okay. Guys, that was an amazing presentation. We covered a lot. Thank you so much. And excited to see this project come through the Village of Roselle. Sincerely.
Thank
When
you.
will this-
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all.
When will this go to trustees?
That is a very good question, Beth. There's several aspects to this project. So not only is there going to be the ordinance approving the zoning map amendment and the planned unit development, we're going to have a redevelopment agreement that has to get reviewed by the TIF Advisory Commission, a parking lease agreement for the leases in the parking garage. There's going to be a Metro land exchange agreement. And then an additional, I believe, other agreements. There's a lot going on. So we're working closely with the developer to make sure we're staying on track and sort of getting things done on time. But due to the nature of this project, we'll post it on the website, we'll post it on the Facebook page, we'll put it in e-news of when that meeting will be. But probably, if not before the end of the year, it'll definitely be very early 2021.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks again. I mean, this really, really looks nice, and I'm excited. Very excited about it.
So am I.
Yeah, thank you all.
So are we. Thank you.
All right, old business.
I don't have any.
All right, new business.
Well, what about Mangy Dog? When is Mangy Dog going to open?
So there were, as I'm sure any of you can imagine who've been inside Teddy B's, there were lots of issues of the inside. They basically had to redo all of the electrical for the whole building, which I think ate a lot of time that he was expecting. So I think early to mid 2021 is kind of when he's expecting to open, but he's still moving forward with the project and sort of diligently working on it. So.
Okay.
And we're still working on the zoning ordinance update. So the Tuska is currently drafting the actual ordinance, and they'll be giving it to me in sort of sections. So I'll bring that to the sort of zoning ordinance committee that we had set up to review the submittals for the RFP. And we'll sort of refine it, and then we'll bring it back to the Planning Commission and the ZBA for further review before having a public hearing. That's it.
Okay. Can we adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Come on, Tom, say something.
Yeah.
To adjourn.
Second.
I'm hungry.
Me too.
All right. Do we need a second?
Second.
All right.
Gosh. Yeah, we'll do a quick roll call because this is on YouTube. Tom Stringfellow,
Yes.
Josh Bickford,
Yes.
Beth Kellerstein,
Yes.
Terry Wallach,
Yes.
Jason Wirtz,
Yes.
Sherman Patel.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have.
Meeting is adjourned.
The meeting.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Seeing everyone.
Bye.